going on, Archon? Welcome to another Boulevard Paper Fight YouTube video. Today I decided to do something a little bit different and go over how I actually evaluate a sealed deck, all the parameters I go for when I do it, what I'm looking for, and this is kind of like a how to evaluate sealed for people who may be interested in that information. But first off, I just want to give a shout out to my man Arthur, aka Arconvict on Twitter. Excuse me. He has basically made, I put out a request to see if we could get sealed on TCO so that even though we cannot play sealed against one another in a game store IRL, this still allows any decks you have at home, you can play some sealed with your friends this way by still having your decks not privileged information. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing, and he helped me out to get that organized so we could do that. So shout out to my man Arthur, our convict. Go follow him on Twitter, as you can see there. He is today's featured community member, which may be a new thing that I do. Alright, so let's get right into evaluating a sealed deck. Let me bust this bad boy open here. I am going to do it the usual way. Alright, ooh, one of the awkward Saurian symbols. So we got Aladdin, Concrete Tunnel, Webkeeper. Okay, so boom, let's make this fun. So we got Shadows, we have Saurian, and we have Brobnar. So there we go, that's the deck today. Let's take a look at what's inside. I'm going to do this as a little, I like to do the fun reveal, you know, show one card at a time, see what's in here, and then go over it. I think it's kind of a fun way of seeing the deck if I can get this open. Alright. I thought you weren't seeing any more of these symbols in this misprinted way, but I guess not. Okay, so Archon card down. So here we go. Do a quick reveal and then go over. So we got Volcano, Calfine, Ganger Chieftain, Grok, Gron Nine Toes, Gron Nine Toes, wow. Mog Hunter, Little Rapskull, not happy about that. Ragwarg, Shattered Throne, Smith, then we go Dinos Perfectus Ludo, Jarda, Raider, Golden Spiral, Thero Centurion, Tribute, Exile, Gargantodon, City Gates, Imperial Road. And then we go to Shadow, to Huggermugger, Kaimor Eclipse, Simon, Trust No One, Yancey Gang, Brend, Subtle Maul, Snecklifter, the Quiet Anvil, and lastly, the Saurian Plant. Alright, so this is how I actually go over my deck. So the first thing I want to know is the creature count. The reason being is if I know what the creature count is, it's going to give me an idea of the composition of the deck. So let's do that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Excuse me. So there's 21 creatures. That's a good amount to know that this is going to be a board state deck. And now let's count the Ember Pips next to see how we're going to have to generate Ember with this deck. And I have a feeling based on the creature count, this will be not that high. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 7 Ember Pips. So that lets you know that it is on the lower side, which means you need to develop a board to generate the Ember. So that's the next thing. After that, I'm going to look at the ways we can utilize the game. Like, what are we going to be looking to do in this game? So let's take a look now at the ways we can control Ember. So keys cost -2. This counts more for us. So Ember control, we got Brend as a potential, but we got to figure out ways to get rid of Brend. 2 Trust No One, so that's 3 cards. 4, 5, 6. This can kind of work. 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't really count little rapscalls, some people do, but I don't. 11. So we got 11 creatures, or 11 cards that can capture Ember, or deal with Ember control in some form or another. That's great. Now let's look at board control. So, Simon counts, so that's 1, 2, kind of, exile, 3, 4, sort of, 5, 6, because you can fight right away, 7, 8. So there's a pretty decent amount. I'm really liking Volcano in this. I think there's actually a lot of potential for this card to put in some work, specifically because you have things like where is it? You have the exiles, which can be really cool because you have not Imperial Road, City Gate. So a friendly creature captures 1. If that creature is a dinosaur, it captures 2. Oh, I forgot to count this as Ember Control, but maybe I did. So that's a really cool thing. You can actually start having your creatures have a lot of Ember on them, and then you can exile them, which is pretty cool. And then you also have things like the Ludos, which I think are going to be extremely important in this deck, because there is a lot of ways to put Ember on your creatures, and then you can use something like a Volcano, get rid of those creatures, and then the Ember is not going to your opponent. I also like the exile idea, and then following up with a Volcano. Like, you have to do it on something that's a little sticky, so, or even make sure your Ludos are out, and then you can put on anything that can die easily, which is kind of cool. I also like having Snecklifter in here, artifact control. So this is the next step. So now I've identified the Ember control and the board control cards within the deck, aside from the fact that there's a high creature count, so that's going to put in work. You also have what are tools that are going to help you here. So first off, we have some artifact control. You get to control an artifact your opponent has, so it is one of the best forms of artifact removal, I think, because not only are you removing it, you're actually making it your own thing. You also have Subtle Maul, so it's hand manipulation exists here, or a little bit of disruption. Chimera Eclipse kind of falls in that as well. Imperial Road, which means you're going to be able to set up your dinosaurs potentially a turn early. So a prime candidate for Imperial Road in this deck for me is going to be Ludo. And then if I need Ember Control out of house, I can also play a Thero Centurion, or I can play down a Redder Gallon. All those things are going to help. Not also having the Golden Spiral allows me to play something stun, and the next turn unstun it and do that. Smith is going to provide a little bit of burst, and because there's a high creature count, I think this card is going to work great. I actually don't mind the Brobnar in this at all. I know people are like, ooh, Brobnar, but no, I'm cool with that in this deck. I think it's pretty good. This is the only card that I will probably not use that much. It's going to be very situational, but who knows? I like look at the bodies in this. Like, look at that. Oof. Wish there was a flex in this with the triple Gron 9-Toes. So, I mean, I can literally reap with Gron 9-Toes and make it have 7 power, essentially, because you're taking 2 damage. So, you're going to go down, but then it's going to go up. So, that's kind of cool. What else is really cool in this? No, okay, so now the next thing, I forgot to do this, is when we're counting creatures, is one thing you want to do is be aware of your house composition with creatures. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. And then what's the house composition here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in Brobnar, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's, I mean, it's a pretty even distribution, but you're going to get on board with Brobnar. So you kind of almost want to go Brobnar early and get on board, because that's going to allow you to have that board state positioning that could be really powerful. I'd almost even open up with a turn 1 Imperial Road. I would not be opposed to doing that, potentially. But you also have like the turn 1 setting up Brobnar as well is not a bad idea. There's various things. This deck has a lot of different potential. So what I'm looking for in a deck, first of all, is how many creatures are in the deck to have an idea. Because if you have a low creature count, that's going to tell you how the deck's going to perform. Are you going to be playing more cards that are non-creature based? Also tells you whether you're going to be putting down a board state, and if you have a higher creature count, you most likely have a higher raw Ember count, which means you're going to need your board. to generate some ember to win the game. And then I want to look at how I'm going to be able to utilize the different parts of the board of your deck to do different things. So like for example, this has a lot of ember control, so I know that I'm going to have a lot of instances and they're going to exist in each house potentially to take my opponent off check, which is really important. Knowing how to help stop your opponent from advancing their game is a very important tool to know and recognize as you're going. The next I want to know the board control. Aside from having a lot of creatures, can I directly deal with threats that exist on the board? So if taunt, things like that exist, or things that are preventing me elusive, so it becomes an inefficient fight, if those exist, how can I remove those threats? So you need to be aware of all those that exist. And then next what I want to do is start looking at how the deck kind of, what exists within it that can work together and do some fun things, potential combo situations. But if you go in knowing exactly the first things of like how your creature counts are, house distribution of creatures, so sometimes you can get it so that two houses or one house is really loaded with the creatures and the other two are lighter. That lets you know that when you're calling that house, what can be happening, and as well as for the other houses. So if you need to get creatures on board, you're going to know, okay, I need to cycle out house like X and Y so I can get to this other house that actually has all the creatures. So if I'm drawing more of those cards, I'm going to have more creatures, get more on board, all those sort of things that help you advance your game the way you want. So hopefully this was a helpful little sealed analysis, more from not just the deck itself, but as a concept of looking at a sealed deck. And again, shout out to my man Arthur, who helped us get sealed on board for the Crucible Online. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe. Check out some other videos during this time. Hopefully this is keeping you entertained. And as always, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.